Over the past few weeks, I've covered systems and services that could optimize your workflow to get you writing and publishing high quality books at a faster rate. Now, today, let's bring it all together, all the information I gave you, and distill it down to the essential steps that got me to publish over 50 books since 2014. While it's not a plan that'll work for everyone, most anyone can implement any of these steps into their author business to win big. So let's get to it. Hey folks, I think I've already kind of told you over the past week of how excited I am about a recent partnership and sponsorship with the fine folks over at Dibbly Create. Discover Dibbly Create, your ultimate project partner. Get ready for a new era of productivity and collaboration. Introducing KIP. That's Dibbly Create's cutting-edge AI technology. From brainstorming to generating project outlines, KIP does it all. Collaborate seamlessly with your team in real time, shaping ideas into reality. Personalize your projects with various textiles, formatting options, and layouts. Export effortlessly and work offline so you're never limited by your location. Unleash your creativity with Dibbly Create. Visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/DibblyCreate to redefine how you work today. Dibbly Create, where innovation begins. All right, so let's give an overhead view of my process here because it's going to be a number of steps that I typically put into some of this stuff. And I've actually kind of talked about each one of these elements in separate podcasts before, but now we're going to put it all into one and kind of give a bit more of a broad overview of exactly what you should be doing. My first step in the process of writing and publishing always starts with research. Now, this may not work out for those of you out there that are fiction writers that are just scratching your creative itch. I totally get it. But what I would recommend, if you are a fiction author or a nonfiction author, that before you do scratch that itch, consider researching the market. Now, why do I research before I write? Well, first of all, I already kind of know my audience. You probably already know your audience. That's fine. That's okay. But what we need to do is identify a wider audience on the Amazon platform. And if you're looking to do beyond that, of course, there as well. Now, tapping into trends and popular tropes and themes, that's also something you're going to want to do inside your research, is figuring out how can I be able to implement some of these things that are going really well for authors today. Now, you don't have to write to market. Big shout out to Chris Fox, a great book called Write to Market. Highly recommend you pick it up and read it. I don't have that inside my show notes. You can probably just Google it up. But it's a good idea to get your work dialed in before putting your proverbial pen to paper. Now, for research, you can just do just as simple as just opening up the Amazon Marketplace or any of the platforms you plan to publish to. Now, my go-to for research is Publisher Rocket. I've just spouted off about that all the time. I've talked about it. I'm sure there's some people out there like, okay, we get it, Dale. You love Publisher Rocket. You're an affiliate for it. Look, if you don't want to support the channel, don't buy it through my link. That's fine, but I'm still going to tell you Publisher Rocket is actually really good. And it's great for many purposes beyond just keyword research and category research, because they also have the options for Amazon ads where you can get some of the keywords and products and targeting that you would need for an ad. Now, if you're the type of person, though, got no money, I get it. When I broke into the business first couple years, I didn't have a single solitary type of research tool outside of just sticking with incognito mode, going into Amazon US, and then doing it from there. Now, I recommend to this day the extension. It's called DS. I don't know what the DS stands for, but think like Dale is super. DS Amazon Quick View. Now, it's a browser extension that is equipped for the Amazon US marketplace only. And when you go into incognito mode, you will get as pure a results as you can. Because if you go into a naked browser, in other words, you're browsing like you normally would do, then chances are very likely that you're going to probably get some information back that's great for you, but not for the general population that shops over on the Amazon marketplace. Now, research doesn't have to include days upon weeks, upon months, or anything else like that. It literally can just be sitting down for about a half hour to no more than an hour to kind of just figuring out, because really understanding your market gets it to where you understand who you're talking to. Who are you providing a solution for if you're a nonfiction author? Who are you spinning the tale for if you're a fiction author? Understanding those things as you're writing really does help out. I understand that the old adage is that you write for yourself when you're doing a first draft, and then after that you write for everybody else by editing and cleaning it up. But it would help you out, and especially in editing time, if you get all that tied down before you put the pen to paper. Now let's transition over into the topic of writing. Now, a few ways to write content. I think this is a given. You can handwrite it. Now, we can all agree that is not the most efficient process, since you have to transcribe the content as soon as you're done writing it. Not to mention, if you got sloppy handwriting like I do, you're going to be like looking at it going, what does that say? And that's just going to slow up the whole process. I've really never done handwriting. If I need to write down some certain concepts or something like that, I typically will transpose that over onto a document on my computer, so that way I can refer back to it later. Now, the most popular one, of course, is going to be typing. Now, I'm going to double back around to typing in a little bit, because obviously it is my preferred way of doing things. My second most preferred way of doing things is dictating or transcribing. Now, voice dictation, I think there's a lot of people out there, the purists out there, they're like, voice dictation isn't writing, it's... Calm down, okay? If you don't believe in voice dictation, I totally get it. You can just dismiss it and move right along. Stick to typing, whatever you'd like to do. But to me, I found some great value through voice dictation. In fact, I've actually shared some of my favorite ways to doing voice dictation, and even more recently interviewed Nick Thacker. He's a USA Today best-selling author who actually has his own course about voice dictation. Now, I'm not going to put anything inside the show notes. You can always just look it up, bookcareerinayear.com, and get more details about that. Now, transcribing is a little different, because when you have voice dictation, typically you're going to have to sit here and put punctuation in, and you've got to do line breaks, and you have to verbally express that. So, for instance, I could probably say something like, to get your hands on a copy of my book, visit xyz.com, period. I have to say the period, or if I want to seem like I'm shouting, I can say exclamation point. It does become a little bit of a drag at first. It feels weird, but as soon as you get into the process of doing it, it becomes almost second nature. Because if you try to voice dictate without any of that punctuation, you're going to have an entire document filled full of it's just one big wall of text. Good friend of mine, Kevin S. Allen, actually did that once. He did a voice dictated book, and I kid you not, I swear, I think he had 40,000 words. And I opened up the document and saw absolutely no punctuation. I was like, no, bro, not even touching this. So if you're the type of person, though, that can't get into that process and it seems like it slows you down, then transcribing might be the way to go. Now, transcribing would be something as simple as turning on a video camera or some type of a recording device and just going. I highly recommend that if you do voice dictation or transcribing or even typing, get an outline put together. For you discovery writers out there, aka pantsers, when you're flying by the seat of your pants, outlines are probably the devil to you. And I totally get it, that's fine. But sometimes having those bumpers up really helps keep you on track and, again, efficient. If you find putting an outline into your process is slowing you down, it's gumming up the works, then disregard exactly what I say. I am a pantser, and I'm also a plotter. I like to actually have an outline put in place, but then from there, I typically will just kind of work within the perimeters. And then if I find I just veer off a little bit, it's totally all right, because I can get all that sorted out in the editing process. Now, if you want to be extra efficient, choose what you're strongest at doing. For instance, I'm a talker and I'm a good typer. Notice I didn't say I was a good talker, because some people probably would disagree with you, but I'm pretty comfortable at talking. Now, I don't typically go for talking because I feel like I express myself better when I'm typing. I feel like I'm a little bit more in my head, and I'm able to kind of get things done a lot quicker. Now, what I would recommend is put your typing skills to the test. See how fast you can kind of put together some content based on your speed. And in fact, actually you can visit, this is not an affiliate link, this is just a link to a type test that I found online. Go to dalelinks.com/type test and take the test. See how many words per minute you can get yourself you could do. And this is really nice, because then you could start setting some goals and some milestones and some, just get a good idea of what you're capable of doing. Now, for voice dictation, it does take a little practice, but if you're a good talker, you should be able to excel at this. Now, how do you become more efficient at writing? Write daily, even if it isn't your current work in progress, because by sticking to it daily, you get into the process and do it on a normal basis, and you perfect it. Now, I'm not just saying that you should just blindly go into every single session, you just type, 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 type. Always go back and analyze, how could you have been more efficient in your process? Because I see a lot of authors out there, and bless all of you that do that, where you're working on this epic length novel for 5 to 10 years at a time. It's not entirely out of the realm of possibilities for you to break yourself free of that expectation of taking 5 years to do something. What you have to do is have enough self-awareness that you can step back and say, ooh, you know what? It's probably taking me long because of this, or it's probably taking me long because of that. If you've got a day job, then chances are very likely it's going to be a little tougher for you to crank out an epic length novel. So maybe 5 years is probably, realistic, but I challenge you to look at your work in progress and how you're approaching it and how you're writing it, because you can probably find areas of opportunity that you can improve that on. And this is why I say, write daily. Write as often as possible, because you will become better so long as you're reflecting on that process. And also set a consistent schedule for writing. If you don't have a consistent schedule put into place, then chances are very likely you're going to do exactly what I do, which is you just forget about it. You just go, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it tomorrow. And before you know it, it's already been a couple of years and you're kind of going, man, I started that book back in 2021. True story, by the way, folks. Set goals and deadlines. I've already kind of said it, but I want to say it again because it is so important. You can't expect to hit the bullseye if you've got your eyes blindfolded. All right, get some goals put into place. It could probably be you write a paragraph, or you write a sentence, or you write an entire chapter within a week or within a day. Figure out what works best for you. And you can always adjust those deadlines and goals when you fall short. It's okay. Goals aren't always about completing it and be like, oh, I'm going to complete it and I'm going to make it absolutely perfect. No, goals are going to be the thing that compels you forward, so that way you have forward momentum, as opposed to just stopping in place and going, well, I know I've got to write a book, but I don't know where I need to start. Well, let me just start writing. What am I supposed to write about? I don't know. I'm going to keep writing. And before you know it, you've got this work in progress that is absolute hammered garbage. And it's all right to have hammered garbage for your first draft. But if you get into the editing process and it becomes a little bit of a sticking point, well, you see where I'm going for this. So set those deadlines and goals. You fall short, you will. You will inevitably fall short. It's okay. You don't need to just meet a deadline or goal. It happens. So give yourself a little bit of permission to mess up every now and then. The next thing is going to create a distraction-free, friction-free work process. Now, more recently, let me just share some of what I've been doing behind the scenes. I started doing some journaling on my own. And this past weekend, I sat down and did some journaling for an hour and 15 minutes. I literally just sat down for 5 minutes thinking I was going to go ahead and just be done with it. I discovered something really interesting. Because I wasn't having to research, because I wasn't having to do anything super in depth, because I wasn't having to do all these, I didn't have expectations since it's just my personal journal. I was able to crank out 4,000 words in an hour and 15 minutes. I don't know how I did it. I can only tell you that it was a distraction-free interface that I did it within. Now, I've been utilizing Dibly Create a lot. Yes, I'm talking about the sponsors for this video, but I have found them the best for distraction-free writing because, well, here's the thing. You're going to start writing, and every now and then you're going to go, ooh, I've got to Google up something. And then before you know it, you've opened up Facebook and Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. I'm still going to call it Twitter. So at any rate, you open those things up, and then you've just been completely derailed and off of that. With Dibly Create, they actually have Kip, the AI assistant. So anytime I've got to look something up, all I've got to do is ask Kip, and I stay within that interface. I stay 100% focused. Now, if you're not going to use Dibbly Create, that's totally fine, but keep in mind they do have a free access, so it's not going to hurt you to go ahead and do that. So just think about that. But if you've got another system that is distraction free, go for that. Find some way that there's nobody, nothing, or anything else interfering with your process of writing. The other thing I'm going to say is embrace artificial intelligence for maximum efficiency. No, I don't mean to sell your soul and have AI write your book for you. No, I am completely against that. I am not the biggest fan of churning out a bunch of AI books that seem like just a bunch of just rubbish. Merely having AI will expedite the process when you get hung up on details, like I kind of mentioned, grammar issues, or even basic items like a good book description. Yeah, you can actually do a good book description through things like AI. And you're not, encroaching on someone's IP or copyright. So there's no harm, no foul in this. All right, so we've written the content. The next step comes in editing, beta reading, and proofreading. Now, for the first rounds of edits, I use things like Microsoft Editor, I do Pro Writing Aid, and then I do text-to-speech. It's up to you how you would like to do it, but what I would recommend is find 2 different types of grammar editing software. All you're wanting to do in this first step is do quick cleanups. So you might find some weird worded sentences, clean it up the best you can. What you're just looking for are some out and out mistakes, some typos, or anything else like that that's just a little bit off. You shouldn't be spending too much time in doing this first round of edits. All I want to do is clean it up enough to where it makes sense when I hand it to a human editor, because that's where I go to a human editor for all of the work. So they'll go through and do a developmental and structural edit. As soon as it comes back, I go through my second edits. I don't waste any time whatsoever. And by the way, find an editor that can work at your pace. You're going to kiss a few frogs before you find that one prince, trust me. But I found 2 fantastic editors for my nonfiction work and my fiction work that work at the pace that I like to go at. Now, with those second edits, I make all the corrections that I need to from the editor. Then I repeat the first step that I did, where I went through and I used 2 different types of grammar checkers and then text-to-speech. The reason why I do text-to-speech is I want to listen to it, hear how it sounds. I try to just remove myself from reading the manuscript. I just want to listen to it and hear how all of the words come together. You don't need the fanciest text-to-speech, software out there. There's a few browser plugins, something like Microsoft Word has something incorporated in it. I know that Dibbly Create has that on their roadmap right now, that they're going to be adding TTS, text-to-speech. It's a little bit of abbreviation type stuff there. But either way, get it to where you have the text-to-speech. It makes life so much easier. Now, the next step that I do after that is going to be beta readers. Now, you're going to want to get about 1 to 3 readers familiar with your niche. I don't want to work with just any old beta readers. I want someone who is an avid reader inside my niche, or even an author within the niche that will be able to kind of identify some issues. And the cool thing is, because it's only just after the developmental and structural editing for my human editor, they can come in and probably put in a little bit more logs on the fire. So we keep that thing going. So we tighten up everything just as best as we possibly can. And with beta readers, I'll tell you, man, I have saved a lot in editing costs by having beta readers. Now, how do you find those beta readers? I've covered this in previous broadcasts before. You can even do something as simple as reaching out to folks in your email newsletter. You can join my Discord community. By the way, in the show notes, you can go on over there. There's a whole section for ARC readers and beta readers. You can go ahead and ask in there. Or you can even go through something like what Michael Aran actually did before. And I think he visited like Upwork or maybe Fiverr to find beta readers that he would pay to do it. Now, the nice thing is when you pay someone, you know for sure it's going to get done. So just think about that. If you want to become efficient and you don't have the fastest beta readers in the world, Premium options might be the way to go. Now I'll go through my third edit. Same as before. I make corrections, then repeat the first step, and then I send it over to the human editor for one last round. And this is typically where they're doing the copy editing. Now, the last edit after that is going to be same as before. I go through the two different types, and then I'll go through TTS. Now in this last round, I am a little bit more hypercritical. In fact, actually, it just starts to grow to a boil as we're going through each one of these processes. So for instance, on those second rounds, when I was using something like, say, Microsoft Editor, and I was using ProWriting it and then the text-to-speech, I get a little bit more discerning about what I'm reading, because with that first round of human editors and the beta readers, they're going to catch all of the structural and developmental, and beta readers sometimes will find some of those typos and such and get all that sorted out. Now it gets down to the nitty gritty and getting it to where you're getting the copy dialed in just perfectly. But repeat all that first step one more time, and then you've got yourself a completed manuscript. I've oversimplified this process, and especially if you're the type of person who is doing a long epic length novel, it's going to probably take you at least, I would say, a few months. And it just depends, of course, upon the editor that you're using, the beta readers that you're using, so on and so forth. But we're not done here, because we're talking about the art of writing and publishing at an efficient pace while keeping the quality up. We want to, of course, next do the formatting and the packaging. Now, you're going to want to find a service provider who can handle this for you, so it frees you up to continue writing the next book. This is a huge thing, and I understand that a lot of authors out there that may not have the discretionary expense. Totally fine. I get it. DIY is so fine. In fact, when I first started into the business, I was lucky to kind of get any of the work done outside of me. So DIY, sure. But you will slow yourself down having to manage this process rather than outsource it. To me, I would rather spend my creative energy towards writing the next publication or marketing the current publication than sitting here figuring out, formatting. Okay, where's my headers at? Did all the page numbers? This page number's not lined up. I forgot to justify the text. What about the pictures? Things like that. Nah. Outsource if you can help it. It really, and there's a lot of affordable providers out there that I've covered numerous times on this podcast before. Last but not least is getting to the publishing process. Get your metadata ready before the launch. This is a huge reason why I said research ahead of time. And as you're researching, hopefully you're keeping a lot of the information in a separate document so you can refer back to it later. When you get your metadata together, get an entire sheet with the title, subtitle, series name if it's applicable, the description, the keywords that you're using, and even the categories that you're going to be using. Now, I've talked about using keywords before, and within the next couple of weeks, I'm actually going to be going into a deep dive about keywords and how to research those. But for right now, what I would recommend is any of the keywords that you're using in your 7 backend keyword slots through the KDP dashboard, make sure that they're broken out into individual keywords, because if you plan to publish wide, those individual keywords could really help out tremendously, especially through avenues like Ingram Spark, where they actually ask for some keywords, or Barnes & Noble Press, I believe, has also ability to leave keywords. But either way, have those keywords together, have everything together inside the metadata. Don't wait to upload it and then painstakingly type everything out, because rest assured, this is not going to be the only time you're going to need to use the metadata, because if you end up doing some marketing and promotion, which is the next step, you're going to need that information. So you might as well get it to where you can hit that Control-C, Control-V, copy, paste, copy, paste. It is so much faster if you get it all dialed into one single sheet. Now, the next process is no-brainer, marketing and promotion. I've talked about this numerous times on the podcast. I have numerous episodes where I've covered way too many stinking avenues you can, use. So what I would say is work within your budget, and free resources are almost always the best option for every author that's out there. All right, well, just a quick wrap up here in just a moment. I want, of course, give a special thanks to our sponsors, Dibbly Create. Experience seamless teamwork and creativity with Dibbly Create's intuitive tools and advanced AI features. Get free or premium access when you visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/DibblyCreate. Here are my final thoughts. My methodology has served me well for 9 years. It hasn't always been this way because I had to fine-tune it as I went along. Oh yeah, I smell like smoke because I've been through fire. And as you listen to this podcast, I hope you reflected on your process and what you can do to streamline it. After all, writing and publishing is hard enough. Why make it a long and laborious process? Next week, we'll be discussing how to record your own audiobook. We'll cover all the tech, software, and specs so you can create audiobooks without breaking the bank. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll catch you next week.